Hello Gemini, my name's Keith Haswell and I'm a professional astrologer with 40 years experience in the business and 30,000 clients worldwide, and I've got 150 YouTube videos up there now on all aspects of personal and spiritual growth. It's my pleasure, Gemini, to welcome you to this particular video. I'm going to look here in this video at your major impacts upon your consciousness, the events and conditions of your life in 2015. First of all, I'm going to tell you about yourself, Gemini. That's always a lot of fun to know how you are in terms of astrological diagnosis. And then I'm going to look at the movements of the Sun, Venus, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn. As they move through the houses of your horoscope, they definitely bring about impacts and events and conditions in your life of a transitory nature that you can change, and that you can change by being forewarned about the negativities that are popping up every now and again. You can actually make them different, change the outcome. So just sit back and relax, Gemini, and enjoy the journey with me. You know, you are ruled by the second ray of love wisdom, so you're a very loving person, very special, Gemini. You've got a tremendous sense of duality in your nature. You feel at times as if there's two people in the one body. Sometimes you don't even know yourself. You've got to work out which mask am I wearing at this particular time. So there's that tremendous sense of split personality and two people in the one body. And a lot of love there, that you're very outgoing in your affections. You're very adaptable. You fit in with other people and blend in with other people very readily. Now you find your sense of security in life, Gemini, through property and ownership of property, and also to do with family. Belonging to a family is very, very important to you, Gemini. The sense of belonging is so important to you, the feeling of family, and that I belong to this unit, I belong to this family unit, is very, very important for you to have your sense of security in life. Security not just financially, but security emotionally, mentally and spiritually. Now you seem to be the centre of attention quite often in conversation and communication because you have a commanding air about you. You're tremendously aware, Gemini. You're like the lion on the top of the hill, just surveying the scene there, turning the head very, very slowly, but taking everything in, not missing a trick. A deer moves there or an antelope moves there, and you see it all. And that's what you're like. You are very, very conscious and aware and awake and alive as to what's going on around me, when everybody else seems to be half asleep. You've asked yourself many times, why am I so awake, aware and alive when everybody else seems to be half asleep? You enjoy social activities with those that are close to you, like relatives and neighbours, and quite often you're the instigator of these social functions, and you generally take the leadership role and coordinate it all and things like that. Now you seem to have domestic pets around the home, and you're very meticulous about cleanliness around the home. So you like everything to be in its right location and in its right position, all the furnishings to be just right. Detail, meticulous attention to detail around the home. And you do a lot of work at home too. A lot of book work and things like that, so probably you work from home or you bring work home to complete after hours and that sort of thing. Now, you seem to be a person who loves going out to restaurants and places of amusement, Gemini. You like going out to be with the general public. You like going out therefore to parades and shopping malls and public festivities and things like that. Theatres and places where you've got a feeling of belonging with the general public. You enjoy that. and you love music and you love dancing and you love artistic and creative pursuits recreationally. Now with children, you're always trying to find balance within yourself in between your commitment to romance, love and your social life and things like that, and the children. So there's always a sense of wanting to be balanced there as far as that's concerned. Now the job situation is something of a mystery. So there's something there connected with the job that is a little bit of a mystery. It could be to do with a relationship. It could be to do with something there that's with the people that you work with. They confide in you and trust in you and confide secrets in you. So you've got to keep secrets as far as your workmates are concerned and things like that. And also you could perhaps get yourself involved in a secret relationship with somebody that you work with or meet through the job. So there's a bit of intrigue there potentially. Either that or it's something to do with finances and things like that that are connected with the job. So there's some degree of mystery there. Now you marry somebody who's a free spirit, somebody who loves to travel, and so you probably travel overseas a few times with your partner. They may have been born overseas and may have family overseas, and so you go and visit the family. If they're not in your city, they might live distantly from you, so you'd go and visit their family and so forth. Well, that's just a little bit about yourself anyway, Gemini, so will you just sit back and relax now and we'll look at the cycles that you're moving through. Now what I'm going to do for you, Gemini, is I'm going to put it on a timeline, okay? So on a week by week basis, we're starting this in February, so on a week by week basis I'm going to put it all on a timeline for you, and I'll tell you where the planets are, these bodies, the Sun, Venus, Mars, and I'll do Jupiter a little bit later on and Saturn later on because they're a lot more slow moving. So initially it'll just be the Sun, Venus and Mars, and I'll put them on a timeline. So I'll tell you where they are in February and what sort of impact that has, and that impact remains there until I tell you that it changes into a different house. So the planets are moving in the heavens, they're transitory influences, and as they move through the heavens they also move through the houses of your horoscope and they have impact. And so we'll look at that impact there and see what sort of events and conditions that you're going to be experiencing in 2015. Now, on the 20th of February, the Sun is in the 10th house of your horoscope and remains there for 30 days. With the Sun in the 10th house of your horoscope, Gemini, there's a lot of focus upon parents, if they're still alive, and a focus upon career and ambitions and matters relating to your sense of responsibility and leadership. On the 21st of February, Mars moves into the 11th house of your horoscope, and that begins a 2 or 3 week cycle, Gemini, where you could have a lot of extra energy going into the area of friendships. So there can be tensions with friends, there can be accidents involving other people's children, like grandchildren if that's a possibility, and friends, and they could have accidents and things like that, and they can be rather dominant and assertive, Gemini, from that time onwards for 2 or 3 weeks. So you could have arguments with friends and so forth. Now on the 22nd of February, Gemini, Venus moves into the 11th house of your horoscope, and for 2 or 3 weeks sees a great deal of love for friends, a lot of social activities of a group nature with friends, other people's children playing a prominent part in your life socially perhaps. On the 18th of March, Venus moves into the 12th house of your horoscope and begins a 2 or 3 week cycle where it is possible for you to get involved in a secret romantic involvement. There can be secret worries to do with finances and secret worries about a friend who could be hospitalised, a female companion or friend who could be hospitalised, either that or they could have secret worries and insecurities in life that they're pouring upon you, so they're dumping secrets upon you perhaps. On the 21st of March, the Sun moves into the 11th house of your horoscope, Gemini, and remains there for 30 days. Now, with the Sun in the 11th house of your horoscope, Gemini, there's a focus for 30 days upon friends, group activities, club activities, other people's children, and a lot of happiness through friends. You're the centre of attention in that sort of group interests as well. On the 1st of April, Mars moves into the 12th house of your horoscope, and for 2 or 3 weeks, you can be your own worst enemy. You can say or do things that are not in your own best interest. You can get involved in secret activities. If you're male, you can get involved in a secret relationship. And I suppose that's possible also if you're female. But anyway, there's a lot of secret worries and tensions that you don't openly discuss with other people. Now, on the 12th of April, Venus moves into the 1st house of your horoscope and begins a beautiful cycle for you. When Venus is in the 1st house of your horoscope, it only gets there once a year. And when it's in the 1st house of your horoscope, Gemini, and it's different for your sign than it is for other signs at this particular time. It's a loving time, and it's a time for you, if you're in the market for a relationship, then that's a very good time for you to socialise and form relationships. Love can come into your life, a great deal of affection on your part with other people around you, and you'll be a lot more loving and outgoing. Now, on the 21st of April, the Sun moves into the 12th house of your horoscope, and for 30 days, you've got a great opportunity, Gemini, to engage in solitude and take advantage of the wonder and the magic of solitude. Solitude to introspect and reflect for 30 days about what you've learned in the previous 11 months through the other houses of your horoscope. And there is potential there, if you're a female, to get involved in a secret relationship at that time or have secret worries poured upon you by friends. Now, on the 8th of May, Venus moves into the 2nd house of finances, and for 30 days, 2 or 3 weeks, for 2 or 3 weeks, Venus in the 2nd house is going to bring a boost financially, but you'll also want to be spending money, Gemini. So there's a lot of money going out, but a lot of money coming in. It's a boost financially for you, and you seem to have a tendency to get out there and want to spend. On the 12th of May, Mars moves into the 1st house of your horoscope, and for 2 or 3 weeks, Gemini, you'll have a lot of extra energy going through your chakras. And so there's a tendency to be very energetic and enthusiastic about your ideas, commencing and starting projects that can perhaps be based on impulse. And just be careful not to start and commence things that are based on impulse. Think them through very carefully. There's a potential for headaches when Mars is in the 1st house of your horoscope as well. Now, on the 22nd of May, Gemini, the Sun moves into the 1st house of your horoscope, and you breathe a sigh of relief as it comes out of the 12th house. And for 30 days with the Sun in the 1st house, it's a very good time for commencing and starting new projects and ideas. You'll have a sunny disposition during that time and robust health with the Sun in the 1st house of your horoscope. And you do like to be the centre of attention in conversation and communications during that time. On the 6th of June, Venus moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope and begins a beautiful period of social activities with those close to you, like relatives and neighbours. It's a good time for buying and selling things and entering into contracts or agreements, Gemini. And there's a lot of happiness for you generally to do with motor vehicles. On the 22nd of June, the Sun moves into the 2nd house of finances, and for 30 days you've got to focus upon finances and matters relating to your sense of security, and not just physical and financial security, but emotional security, mental security and spiritual security. On the 25th of June, Mars moves into the 2nd house of finances and begins a 2 or 3 week cycle, Gemini, where you're likely to be impulsive with money. There can be stresses and tensions that get around the back of the neck there, and you've got to try and practice relaxation a lot more. Mars in the 2nd house can see you spending money that you turn around later and regret having done so on impulse. On the 20th of July, Venus moves into the 4th house of your horoscope, Gemini, and it brings 2 or 3 weeks of fabulous social activities with family and to do with the home and the domestic side of life. It introduces a lot of social activities around the home and with the family, and connected with parents if they play a prominent part in your life as well. Now on the 23rd of July, the Sun moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope, Gemini, and remains there for 30 days. With the Sun in the 3rd house of your horoscope, you'll have a sunny disposition. You'll be outgoing in your affections with those close to you, like relatives and neighbours. And there's a great deal of love for music and creative things. You'll have a lot of a sunny disposition during that 30 days. On the 26th of July, Venus goes retrograde. Now, when a planet goes retrograde, Gemini, it impacts negatively upon not the house that it's sitting in, but the houses that it rules. And Venus rules your 5th house and your 12th house. So therefore you can have secret worries about children, things to do with the social side of your life and your romantic side of your life won't go as well as what you think that they can, and there's going to be disappointments in that particular area, and also to do with the 12th house. So you can be your own worst enemy when the 12th house is impacted negatively. Just be careful of your judgment during that time, especially with regard to money and also to do with the social side of life. Now, on the 1st of August, Venus moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope. It's in a retrograde motion, so it's still impacting negatively upon those 2 houses that I mentioned, okay? On the 9th of August, Mars moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope, and for 2 or 3 weeks, you'll be driving too fast, you'll be dominant and assertive in speech, there can be tensions and conflicts with relatives and neighbours, you'll have a lot of extra enthusiasm for your ideas in life, and you'll express that, but just be careful not to be dominant and assertive in your confidence levels, okay? Because that can come across as being a little bit assertive and dominant. On the 24th of August, the Sun moves into the 4th house of your horoscope, Gemini, and remains there for 30 days. With the Sun in the 4th house of your horoscope, there's a focus of your personality upon family and domestic matters, property matters. Parents come into your life if they're still there. And with the Sun in the 4th house of your horoscope, there's a great deal of a focus upon social activities around the home and to do with the family. Now then we go to the 8th of September, Venus starts going direct. And with Venus in the 3rd house of your horoscope, it's a beautiful time for you socially through relatives, and brings good stars for you, a lot of interest in music and creative things, Gemini. On the 24th of September, the Sun moves into the 5th house of your horoscope and remains there for 30 days. With the Sun in the 5th house of your horoscope, there's a focus upon children, if they play a prominent part in your life. Also a focus upon the social side of your life. So if you're a female particularly, someone can come into your life and form a relationship with you. A great deal of activity there socially, getting out to restaurants and places of amusement, quite often where you are the centre of attention. On the 26th of September, Mars moves into the 4th house of your horoscope and remains there for 2 or 3 weeks. With Mars in the 4th house of your horoscope, there's a lot of extra energy and enthusiasm introduced into the home environment, but it can spill over as assertiveness and dominance in the family and with family members. And there can be accidents around the home, danger through fire or boiling water, and that sort of thing. Now on the 9th of October, Venus moves into the 4th house of your horoscope, and for 2 or 3 weeks brings a lot of social activities around the home and with the family. A great deal of love for the family and a lot of love for parents if they're alive. On the 24th of October, the Sun moves into the 6th house of your horoscope and remains there for 30 days. With the Sun in the 6th house of your horoscope, there's a focus upon job and health and dietary matters, a lot more social involvements with people that you work with, and health and dietary matters come to the fore for 30 days. On the 9th of November, Gemini, Venus moves into the 5th house of your horoscope, and if you're in the market for a relationship, a romance, then that's a beautiful time for 2 or 3 weeks. You'll be outgoing in your affections, love will come into your life, a lot of pleasant social activities revolving around children if they're in your life, and very, very good stars for you for speculation and gambling. On the 13th of November, Mars moves into the 5th house of your horoscope, Gemini, and sees a lot of extra enthusiasm introduced into the social life, so you'll be wanting to get involved in vigorous sporting interests, if not as a participant, then as a spectator. And there's a lot of extra energy there in terms of your sex drive and the social side of your life. If you're female, you can jump into a hasty relationship because your sex drive is increased. On the 23rd of November, the Sun moves into the 7th house of partnerships and remains there for 30 days, Gemini. With the Sun in the 7th house, there's a focus of your personality upon your partner, if they're in your life, formation or a strengthening of a partnership if you don't have one, and very good stars generally on a social level connected with the general public. On the 6th of December, Venus moves into the 6th house of your horoscope and remains there for 2 or 3 weeks. With Venus in the 6th house of your horoscope, it's a very good time for job interviews. A lot of social activities connected with the people that you work with, and romance can spring from somebody that you meet through the job or that you work with. On the 23rd of December, Gemini, the Sun moves into the 8th house of transformation and change, and over the following 30 days you'll have a tremendous urge to bring about transformation and change within yourself through introspection and reflection. And it increases your sex drive, there's no two ways about that. On the 30th of December, the final one that we come to, Venus moves into the 7th house of your partnerships and relationships and brings a lot of pleasant social activities with your partner or spouse, if you have one, a strengthening of relationships, and a lot of pleasant social activities that revolve around the general public. Now I'm going to look at the movements of Jupiter for you, Gemini. Now, Jupiter is a major beneficial influence and a beautiful influence in our life wherever it sits, but when it's retrograde, you don't get the full benefit of that. It impacts negatively upon the houses that Jupiter rules. And from the start of the 1st of February, Jupiter is retrograde until the 9th of April, okay? Now, it's going to impact negatively upon the 8th house and the 10th house in your particular horoscope. It's different for other signs, but for your sign, it impacts negatively upon the 8th house of joint finances and the 10th house of ambitions, career, and business. Now, when I say that it impacts negatively, it only impacts negatively if you use bad judgment, okay? Jupiter is out to develop your wisdom. And that means that if you have good judgment, then you can make these things work for you. But Jupiter, when it's retrograde, generally brings bad judgment, and the wisdom is just eluding you. And it impacts upon joint finances, the 8th house of your horoscope, so bad judgment with regard to expenditure that you do with your partner, and their decisions and choices on money matters are not going to be wise. It impacts negatively upon the 10th house of your ambitions in career and business, so you can expand in business, for example, during that period with bad judgment, and you can be overconfident in regard to making a change in your career or business, and it all falls flat or something like that. So just be very careful and think things carefully through before you make any decision with regard to joint finances and also to do with career or business. And if you make the right decisions and choices, it can go okay. Now, on the 9th of April, Jupiter goes direct. and it's direct in the third house of your horoscope. Now, when Jupiter is going in the third house of your horoscope, it's a beautiful time for you through relatives and also neighbours on a social level, but it also stimulates your mind tremendously. So from the 9th of April, there's going to be a massive expansion of your consciousness through study, research and investigation, and an intake of knowledge. Between then, the 9th of April, and the 12th of August. The 12th of August, Jupiter moves into the 4th house of your horoscope and remains there for the rest of the year, and it's also in a direct motion for the rest of the year. Now, when Jupiter is in the 4th house of your horoscope from the 12th of August onwards, Gemini, it's very, very favourable for property matters, investments in property, changes of residence, dealings with parents if they're in your life, and also all matters to do with family will go very well for you for that period for the balance of the year, okay? So it's very favourable socially connected with family, and you could possibly travel with a family member or have a family member travel to visit you sometime in that period from the 12th of August onwards for the balance of the year. Now I'm going to look at Saturn for you, Gemini. Saturn is sitting in the 7th house of your horoscope for the whole of the year. Now, with Saturn in the 7th house of your horoscope, it's impacting negatively. Even if Saturn is going direct, it still impacts negatively upon your spouse. So there's going to be a frustration there connected in your marriage or relationship. It could be a breakup of a relationship, or there could be some sickness of your partner during this whole year. Sometime in this year, there could be a sickness involving your partner. There can be frustrations there to do with your partner. And your partner has to watch out to get plenty of rest and sleep and be very practical and down to earth and look after themselves as far as health and diet and exercise is concerned. Otherwise, they could have some problem with their health, okay? And there can be a breakup of a relationship sometime in 2015 with that sort of influence around, and your partner can be rather dominating or assertive in their demands upon you in certain ways. Now, Saturn goes retrograde for a prolonged period between March and August 2015, Gemini. When Saturn is retrograde, it impacts negatively upon the 8th house of your horoscope, which is the house of joint finances, and also the 9th house of relatives and distant travel. So there can be some sickness involving a relative on your spouse's side sometime between March and August, and there can be some obstructions or delays with regard to plans for travel, and your partner can obstruct your desire to expand your understanding through adult education, philosophy, and general expansion of your consciousness that period. But joint finances can take a hit also, and there can be difficulties in making adjustments and changes within yourself. In other words, you're trying desperately to eliminate aspects of yourself that you feel as if you've outgrown, and you just can't seem to achieve that between March and August as well as what you would like to. And that's as far as I go for you, Gemini, as far as your transitory influences are concerned. But what I want to talk with you now about is your progressions. Progressions, I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail about how progressions work and how they function and so on and so forth, but it's sufficient to say, Gemini, that you, before you come into this incarnation, set out a roadmap for yourself for the first 90 years or so of your life, and that's a roadmap that determines when certain events are going to happen in your life, such as changes in residence, financial windfalls, financial crises, accidents, changes in residence, changes in your job, formation of relationships, breakup of relationships, birth of children, sickness involving children, changes as far as your health is concerned and crises with regard to health, separations in relationships, divorce, partnerships, death of those around you, journeys overseas, changes in career or business, formation of friendships, breakups of friendships, bouts in hospital. These are events and conditions that you've planned out for yourself prior to coming into this incarnation that are going to happen, that are part of the roadmap that you have set for yourself in this particular lifetime. And they are brought about by what's called progressions. Now, progressions are what an astrologer uses to determine the major events in your life. And you generally pay somewhere between $60 and $150 to have your progressions interpreted over a period of 2 or 3 years by the astrologer, depending on their qualifications, experience and expertise, okay? What I'm prepared to do for you, Gemini, is I'm prepared to do your progressions, minor and major progressions, over the next 2 years for you, free of charge. All you've got to do is to go to my website and submit your birth details through the Your Horoscope page of my website, and go for the option of horoscope number 1, and that is a free service whereby I tell you what are the major impacts that you're going to experience and the major events in your life over the next 2 years, 2.5 years. And that's free of charge for you. You also have the option when you visit my website to download CDs from my website. CDs, I've got 12 CDs that are free of charge out of my first book, What Really Matters on Astrology, Meditation and Reincarnation. You're a very spiritual person, Gemini, and you've been brought to this particular video at this time, not by accident. You've been brought to this particular video at this time because you're ready now to make changes inside of yourself that you weren't perhaps ready to make even a month ago. So you've been calling out to something higher than yourself to guide you and to help you to make these changes and adjustments in your life. And so you've been brought to this particular video, and you have an opportunity now to take a step forward in the expansion of your understanding about the nature of reality and your place in that reality. So my 12 CDs will help you with that. So enjoy the journey with me if you do visit my website. I wish you well. If you don't visit my website, that's fine. And subscribe to my videos because I'm putting out new videos all the time. And when you put in your birth details there at the website, we send you the new videos as they're produced, okay? So I thank you for your attentiveness here, Gemini, and I look forward to working further with you should you decide to take the next step forward. The website address has no doubt popped up on the screen by now, so you got the opportunity to write that down and come and see what it's all about there at my website. Thank you.